Gamers, gals, non-binary pals, we have returned after being inactive for like 10 years. Back to stealing content, back on our Sigma grind set. Why make content when we can react to someone who is reacting to Twitter threads? Anyways, these Yu-Gi-Oh cards got completely replaced by MBT. Let's give it a watch.
Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka...
Oh my god, it's Digimon.
Nice. And we are back with another Twitter thread. Today I'm asking you about strict upgrades. Frequently, Yu-Gi-Oh has iconic cards that end up in every single deck, period, for a couple of months. And then they print a card that is so much better than that card that it disappears entirely from the entire ecosystem. So today, I'm asking you which of these you remember. And I'm going to begin with Borrelsword Dragon. This card was, I think, like $75 for a short period of time. It was in every single extra deck, the most powerful 4-link you could make, and then they released Borrelsword. You don't even see this guy anymore. Now it's all Accesscode.
The thing about like Borrelsword and Borrelsword was because at the time, we had literally nothing better to play. Like, you guys may not remember, but early Link format, we just had no good Link monsters. Striker had to play like Space Insulator and Land for Linkus just as ways to clear your main monster zone from like kaijus and stuff, because like the nightmares didn't exist yet. It was crazy. Borrelsword and Borrelsword were like the only generic Link 4s that had at least a somewhat okay effect.
Dyer says, goodbye my majestic yellow steed. God. Nightmare Unicorn. It was so iconic to go Masquerena into Unicorn that they printed a unicorn with Masquerena on it. Now she just goes into her girlfriend. When did Masquerena go woke? Wait, this is Ibli on Unicorn? Sorry, all white women look the same to me. Solemn Scolding says, I wish I was dead, was run for a very specific period of time, and then they just printed Solemn Strike. God, who remembers playing Solemn Scolding in Pendulum decks?
Remember when people used to play like Solemn Scolding and Spiral? Those were good times. Those were the dark times, but those are good times. They meant something in here, in my heart. Back then, I think Judgment was still at 1, so Spiral just had to play Solemn Scolding as the only way to play around like evenly matched, unless you wanted to play like 7 Tools of the Bandit.
We played a lot of Wee Witch's Apprentice. Does anyone remember normal summoning Tour Guide to get Sangan to go into Wee Witch's Apprentice? A classic Trinity play, and then Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy. As soon as the Charmer links came out for each individual attribute, it was over for these boys, but we played almost all of the attribute links. It was like Hippo Shinnigan, Miss Starboy was everywhere, Mrs. Radiant for Zoo, Doolittle Chimera in Infernoid.
Oh my god, I have to talk about Doolittle Chimera because my friend was playing in a fucking like regional against like a Fire King opponent. Like in the last round, like whoever won that match got their invite. I think his opponent went fucking, well, I have nothing else to go into. I'm gonna summon Doolittle Chimera with Kieran in hand. Pass. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that kind of technically does it. And he fucking won. Anyways, play Doolittle Chimera in every Fire King deck. The shit's broken.
Oh, Great Fly never really saw play, but...
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
Bro.
When you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
An extreme call here, says the Law Yu-Gi-Oh, but a really good one. With the release of SDY and SDK, Login was the end-all best monster you can play, 1800 attack on a no-tribute summon. In the champion pack soon after, the Mechanical Chaser showed up. 50 attack difference, but boy, did
Any
it
chasers
matter.
in chat?
Now, thankfully, you weren't likely to see this card because it was about $400 at the time. Hasher Brown has a fantastic one. Oh, Secure Gardna. This used to be an incredibly playable card.
Good
You would
times.
go normal summon Alistair into the one, the only Salamander Great Almirage into Secure Gardna. That's a light, so then you can easily make a copy of Makaba. As soon as Artemis was released, it became clear that one extra deck slot is fewer than 2.
I'm still pissed. This happened like 4 or 5 years ago, but I'm still pissed that at a locals where I was playing like, I think I was playing Dinosaur. I summoned like Secure Gardna, got like Ash Pass or whatever, versus Prank Kids. And I had Secure Gardna up, and my opponent normal summoned the Fire Prank Kid, the one that burns in order to summon, and he tried to link into Meow Meow. Yeah, my opponent goes like Lampsies to burn and summon, and I'm like, sure, it resolves. Lampsies will not get to summon because it doesn't burn. because of Secure Gardna. Because Secure Gardna actually has text. If you take battle or effect damage, it like blocks it for the one instance. And Fansies has to burn in order to summon because of its text. But for some reason, every fucking judge at that locals is like, well, it attempted to burn, so you still get to summon. I'm like, you motherfucker. No, that's not how this works. Anyways, the top deck missed on the follow-up turn and won. But still, I was pissed.
It has not seen play since Cup of Ace came out. That is true, Trash Jesus. Even though, of course, Pot of Greed is the more economical card, as for Cup of Ace to function as Pot of Greed, you have to pay $5 a month to Luke Von Karma.
What? What am I looking at?
Our Luke Von Karma.
Anti-set, just all of the
What the fuck was
MST
that?
lanes. Galaxy Cyclone, Twin Twister, Cosmic. We get a new one every 2 years, and when one appears, every other one gets blown away. Just a big cyclone circle jerk of cards, side deck mainstayed for 1 year and unplayable the next. This is actually not a bad one. Almost the entirety of the rank 4 toolbox. There was a time when rogue decks would just slot in rank 4s, but since the archetype philosophy and the creation of generic links, the nightmares have led to their extinction. It does feel like we see almost none of these cards in a world where you could just be playing a nightmare. Pank being replaced by Fenrir is very funny. Pank was one of the best going second cards in the game for so long, then they printed another Pank. I will push back on this a little bit.
We made Super Pank.
I feel like Fenrir didn't replace Pank. It just ended up being an incredibly powerful card in an incredibly powerful deck. Now you can play both, and many people do.
The problem with Pankratops is that A, it's at 2, so it's a lot harder to slot into side decks. And B, you can't summon Pank going first. Fenrir, you can summon that shit whenever you want. It's a free fucking card advantage. Although Pank is still absurdly broken, like let's not pretend that like Fenrir is a step above absurdly broken when it comes to going second board breaker. Or, you know, just going first, just have a free interrupt. Fuck it, we ball. Like, it's so 50-50 on which card is better, but let's not pretend like either of those cards is healthy or fair or fun for the game.
Is a great hand trap, but Infinite Impermanence is just better in every way. It can be used on both turns as a trap card so it can't be called by, and can negate spells and traps if your opponent forgets about zone placement. I will say there is one notable difference. Wait, no, there's not. DPE. It's replacing Dragoon. The former de facto best normal summon for ritual decks everywhere has largely been eclipsed by Diviner, who can do exactly the same stuff as Manju, but with far more utility, even outside ritual decks. It just searches any part of a ritual, it bins Herald, and searches any part of a ritual. Also, it's
also
6.
a tuner.
Also, it can bin other stuff. Specifically, a Duel Links example, says William Antonelli. Battle Phase hand traps. These were all staples in top-tier decks at one point, but even Duel Links now has gotten so fast you're wasting deck slots on these outside of stall. Sphere into Veil into Kiteroid. God, these were all frustrating. It was so annoying having to purchase a new disgusting hand trap every couple of months.
Never forget having to play like Arcana Force, the Empress, or High Priestess, whichever fucking shitty Arcana Force, like have your battle damage for like Luna Light. Those were the dark times of Duel Links.
Sphere had the most staying power. While we're talking about borrelsword has mostly been crept by Accesscode. Popping cards without the opponent being able to respond is just way more useful. I remember when Accesscode was first revealed, people were like, I don't know, man. It seems like in any scenario where you can get to a link for, you're going to be able to win because you can make borrelsword. A wonderful answer.
Shout out to the period in time where I won so many remote duels and so many remote duel logos at Extravaganza. My house actually got flagged by the USPS. They were like, yeah, for some reason we have like 4 Etco boxes just sitting in like the warehouse, and like we can't send them to you yet because it is way too suspicious that a bunch of stores across the country are just sending you boxes and boxes of Etco or other random prizing packs because you keep farming locals. And I'm like, yeah, I should probably like tell the government that I'm not like a money laundering business. I just don't pay taxes.
Sir, I can't think of a better one. The only one difference between these two cards, the word banish. Sakuretsu, a staple in old formats, completely invalidated by Dimensional Prison, which of course banishes. Everyone's saying Borrelsword, but I'd also like to give a special shout out to Utopia Double. Utopia Double, who also got power crept after Accesscode release. Card was played for a bit as a beater OTK enabler until it just eventually fell out of favor. The difference between this card and Accesscode is one of them requires you to play a bad card in the main deck. I don't know, it might be a head-ass take, but it feels like DD Crow targeting one in the graveyard and banishing it has at this point been power crept by Shifter. No contest. Even when DD Crow began to see play again, that was just because called by got limited. There are scenarios in which I'd prefer a DD Crow to a Dimension Shifter, but most of the time the reason I'm playing DD Crow is because there is a % chance I won't draw the Dimension Shifter. They're used for different cases. Yeah, that's true. For instance, some decks can't play Dimension Shifter. When Incantations came out, it was essentially the best method to summon rituals for any deck. Yep, it led to that really cool deck from history, the Ritual Toolbox strategy.
Don't let him fucking gaslight you. This shit was never real. I could just be on fucking mind off, blinders on, monitor off, headphones in the fucking trash, and I could just be like blocking this from my memory. But I swear to God, this is the only motherfucker who I think has ever even tried to pretend Ritual Toolbox was a real deck. This shit was fake as hell. You trying to tell me you're trying to summon fucking Candle in a format with striker cards at like 3?
Came out, there was pretty much no reason to play them. It's so frustrating that the Drytrons are known for this very adept, powerful, monster spamming deck that ends on a quadrillion negates,
so
when they are also an unbelievably good generic Ritual Toolbox series of cards. Little Knight is a direct upgrade from DPE. No, she's not. No, she has fewer attack points.
That's it.
I do appreciate that they keep trying to make this effect more powerful. It says, Fiendish. Wow, I get to permanently negate the monster. Breakthrough skill. Wow, I get to activate this even if I mill it. Lost World. Wow, I get to use this twice. Infinite Impermanence. Okay, if it's in the opener, it's still good. Void Ogre. Bit of a niche pick for a while, but I am one of the best generic 8s around. And then they released this card. Void Ogre was so fun and so playable in so many decks until they were just like, nah, we're giving you an Omni. Swolox, shouts out to early Link monsters. Gotta be one of my favorite genders. I remember when Proxy Dragon went crazy. Who remembers summoning the Grinder Golem tokens to the Akashic Zones?
You guys weren't there when Underclock Taker target UCT. Oh my god, it was like heaven on earth. Enjoy your minus 1,000 tech points, liberal. Proxy Dragon was insane in Map Deck. Proxy Dragon was insane in like 50 fucking things. You used to play Proxy Dragon in like Gem Knight FTK. I would know, because I wrote the Gem Knight FTK spreadsheet. Remember when this channel used to be nothing but fucking Gem Knight FTK guides, or just like stupid ass combo tutorials with like Totem 5? Oh my god, those are the good old days.
Mostly true. To get one guy into the graveyard, a lot of decks were playing Clara and Rushka, the Valentro duo, and then that was largely replaced by Almirage afterwards.
Hey, we can still summon you in Labyrinth to make SP.
Notably, Clara and Rushka did a lot of stuff that Almirage don't, and the most important one of those things is it's a spellcaster. So if you were playing against a deck that set up Secret Village, you could just use this. I do remember this card caused a huge hubbub when it was first released because it allows you to use a set monster. Now, what it means there isn't you can use a face-down monster to link summon this, but you can use a monster that was previously set and has since been flipped up to perform the link summon. So different decks do play these cards to different levels of success, but by and large, yes, Pot of Prosperity is just a direct improvement over Pot of Extravagance. I remember when they unbanned Exciton Knight, everyone was like, oh my god, we're gonna have to play around Exciton Knight every single game from here on out. And then like one set later, they were like, oh, you don't know the half of it, buckaroo.
Oh my god. I still think Zeus should have been banned. I'm gonna say it. I think that Zodiac might have been okay to stick around as long as Zeus was fucking banned. Zeus during that period of time was actually an FTK card. Tell me one deck that could play through Zeus. I'm gonna tell you a hint. I'm gonna give you a hint. Spoilers. There were no decks that could play through Zeus. Like, just 4 material Zeus is like the most disgusting shit on planet Earth. Also, Exciton still sees play, and like Centurion, and that's it.
I feel so bad for Psychic Eraser Laser. Oh man, does anyone remember this card? It was like a TCG exclusive, right? We were like, oh my god, it's like Nibiru. They're giving us a card that resolves a really specific board state. Oh, fuck, this card is so tight. And then they just came out with Herald. They're like, fuck. Yippee! Chad is saying that Herald came out years earlier. What the fuck? Why did anyone ever think this card was gonna see play? People sucked this card from the back silly style. A must-have during cash format that not only served as generic removal with any additional cost, but also an Eebly out. Crazy how many cards SP is just better than. Man, there's like a dozen of these. Azalea, Donner. SP is just It's everything, man. It is everything.
Remember when like Kashtira had to play this? Remember when Kashtira had to play like Donner as an Outs of Floodgates? Or like Dex had to play like Azalea because like it could destroy a card or some shit like that? It's so ridiculous how SP is just like the catch-all be-all now. Like there's literally no other reason to play any other goofy card. Like SP banishes instead of destroys. SP has a tag out so it could dodge imperm or target negation. It's just everything. I hate it.
Using these two to link climb and Master Rule 4 off of Scapegoat is good memories. Yes.
Good times.
Scapegoat and end phase, link climb on your turn, best way to make Borreload. It was like
Link Spider,
Link
one card
Spider, Proxy Dragon, Link Spider for Borreload. Decode Talker. I mean, Decode Talker was power crept by like 15 different cards, but it was so funny when we had just started Master Rule 4 and people were like describing this as a negate. They would show a board that had like 2 points of interaction and a Decode Talker, and they were like, oh yeah, this is 3 negates. I do appreciate that there aren't more just visibly better cards than existing ones. But I think what we've learned as a result of this Twitter thread is that SP is like 9 of these rolled into one. See you next week.
All I'm gonna say is do not be surprised when, not if, just when SP Little Knight gets fucking banned. That shit is not okay to stick around. Anyways, let me know what your favorite SP Little Knight fan art is. Post it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.